the intersection of State Road 64 and Greyhawk Blvd. Pope Road in Manatee County. It is Tuesday, April 17, 2018. The project manager for the Florida Department of Transportation, District 1, is Mr. David Wheeler. With us this evening are staff of the Florida Department of Transportation who are all wearing name tags. A transcript is being made of all oral proceedings and will be part of the public record of this project. At the conclusion of the presentation, attendees who completed a speaker request card will be given an opportunity to make public comments. Any questions will be answered after the public hearing has been closed or in writing. If you did not pick up a card at the registration desk, project staff will distribute cards to anyone wishing to give a verbal statement. If you do not wish to speak publicly, you may also make a comment directly to the court reporter after the presentation. This public hearing is being held in accordance with Florida Statute Section 339.155, Section 335.199, and Section 120.525. This public hearing was advertised consistent with federal and state requirements and is being conducted consistent with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. This hearing is being held to give all interested persons the opportunity to express their views relative to this project. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Bradenton Herald newspaper on March 20th and April 5th, 2018. Public participation at this hearing is encouraged and solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Should you wish to express any concerns regarding FDOT compliance with Title VI, please contact either Jamie Schley, the District 1 Title VI Coordinator, or Jacqueline Paramore, the State Title VI Coordinator, at the addresses shown on the slide, or you may use one of the forms available in English, Spanish, and Creole at the registration table. The purpose of the public hearing is to share information about the safety improvements on State Road 64 and Greyhawk Blvd. Pope Road. This public hearing also serves as an official forum to give you the opportunity to express your opinions or thoughts about this project. As previously mentioned, the project involves the intersection of State Road 64 and Greyhawk Blvd. Pope Road, as shown on this location map. The primary purpose of this project is to improve safety in the area by reducing the risk of crashes. As the number of crashes at this intersection have increased, FDOT proposes to leave the recently installed bidirectional median opening in place until the ultimate improvement of the modern roundabout can be constructed. The table shown here represents the increasing number of crashes at this intersection over approximately a 4-year period. The totals for 2018 only represent the first 6 weeks of the year, prior to the installation of the temporary improvement. Since the installation, the department is not aware of any crashes reported. The interim safety measure recently installed included a quick curb bidirectional median opening, which prevents left turns and through movements out of Greyhawk Blvd. And Pope Road. Left turns from State Road 64 onto Greyhawk Blvd. And Pope Road are still permitted, and sight lines are improved due to the lack of vehicles stacking in the median. Traffic entering State Road 64 from both of the side streets is converted to right turn only. These modifications reduce the number of conflict points at the intersection, which improves safety. Conflict points are locations along a roadway where the paths of two vehicles can legally cross, just not at the same time. Each conflict point is a location where a crash can occur. A typical full median opening that allows all turns has numerous conflict points. One way to limit the number of conflicts is through the design of median openings. The State Road 64 intersection with Greyhawk Blvd. Pope Road is a four-way intersection containing 36 conflict points. As this slide illustrates, the placement of a directional median opening reduces the number of conflict points to 14 at this intersection by limiting the number of allowed turning movements. The proposed ultimate improvement for this intersection is a modern roundabout. Design has not yet begun for the roundabout, and the graphic shown here is a preliminary concept plan. The proposed configuration is similar to what will be constructed at the Rye Road and Lorraine Road intersections. A signal warrant analysis was performed in April of 2016. There are 9 different evaluation criteria that need to be met in order to warrant a traffic signal at a given intersection. None of the applicable warrants were satisfied for this location. The roundabout design will begin later this year, and construction is expected to begin in late 2023. The estimated cost for all phases of the roundabout is $3.6 million. The Department of Transportation values your opinion. A court reporter is present to record a statement from anyone wishing to do so. Please give us your comments by submitting a speaker request card found at the registration table and making a comment at the conclusion of this presentation, or by filling out a comment card and either dropping it in the comment box or returning it by mail to the address on the card by April 27, 2018. If you do not feel comfortable speaking in front of an audience, you may make a statement directly to the court reporter at the conclusion of the public comments. You can also give us your input by emailing david.wheeler@dot.state.fl.us. All comments, whether written or oral, will become part of the project's public record and carry equal weight. We will now pause to collect any speaker request cards from audience members wishing to make a statement for the record. As a courtesy to others wishing to speak, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and please remember that we will not be answering any questions during public comments. The project staff will be available at the displays after the formal presentation to answer any questions you may have. Once we collect the speaker request cards, we will call out the names of individuals who have filled out a card in the order we have received them. When you come to the microphone, please state your full name, your street address, and then give any prepared statement that you would like added to the record. Any questions will be answered after the formal hearing portion of the meeting. If you have any questions or would like more information about this project, please contact Project Manager David Wheeler at the address or email shown on this slide, or you can call him at 863-519-2378. Thank you for taking the time to attend this hearing, and we appreciate your participation. We look forward to receiving your comments on this project.
Good evening. The first person with a speaker card is Phil Harnish.
Still here and awake. My name is Phil Harnish. Live at 1014 Clover Glen in Greyhawk Landing. Okay, so my comment is on the, I won't even argue the merits of circles versus traffic lights versus other alternatives, but my concern is with the proposal, the location of the traffic circle. The issues of turning right out of Greyhawk or right out of Pope are not much of an issue, shouldn't have much of an impact. But going across from Greyhawk to Pope, Pope to Greyhawk, or going east out of Greyhawk or west out of Pope are the problems. This solution is going to, I think, not solve the problem with adequate convenience or safety, because you have to go from a stop across 2 lanes of traffic to get into the circle, the 1-lane circle, and then come back out across 2 lanes if you want to go across from Pope to Greyhawk or vice versa, or across 1 lane to wind up going the opposite direction that would result from a left-hand turn from either side. So what I would suggest as a better solution for this proposal is to transplant that traffic circle instead of right between the 2 roads in question, move it west a bit so that people can come out of Greyhawk into the right-hand lane, have a little bit of time to merge into the center lane, and then into the circle to come back around, safely merge to the outer lane to then either go into Pope or continue east. Similar, same scenario for Pope, although that's already going to be probably addressed with the circles proposed to be completed long before this one starts at Rye and at Lorraine. So that they will already have basically a convenient U-turn where it's safe to exit out of there off the side road, merge into inner lane, get into the circle, or what I'd call a U-turn, which is really all that's needed, and then to merge back across if you're going to Greyhawk or stay in either of the 2 lanes to continue west. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Victoria?
I'm Victoria Kasdan. I'm also a Greyhawk Landing resident, and I live at 12211 Astor Avenue. I am here specifically with regards to oppose the proposed circle. My questions are, what does it take to not spend $3.6 million, and what is the cost of a traffic light? I am disappointed that FDOT seems to be under the premise that a roundabout or diamond interchanges are the panacea and the solution for any traffic issue that we seem to be incurring in a growing populated area. I am disappointed FDOT did not take action swift enough, because if you look at the numbers that they proposed, we were increasing the number of accidents by 50% for 3 to 4 consecutive years. What is not seen in those numbers that are just increasing by 50% is the actual number of cars involved in each one of those accidents, the actual number of injuries, the fatality, of which I am aware of one because it was my next door neighbor, and there may be others that I am not aware of. I am disappointed when you call the city of Bradenton, they point to the county. When you call the county, they point to the state. I see traffic lights in places which much less traffic than what we're talking about here. And as a taxpayer, I do not think spending $3.6 million at that intersection to resolve that problem is the best use of our money in this county. And since our county commissioner is here, I would encourage her to please have some very in-depth discussions with FDOT, because they're looking at a roundabout about a half a mile away. They're looking at a roundabout here, And I don't know if you've noticed, but on 117th Street, there is a new development going in west of Eagle Trace, and there is a road exactly across the street. They have not anticipated the exact same issue is going to occur again in less than a few years, because the exact same setup is already in place. There's only growth on the east side of Manatee. We are in the growth area. This is not urban planning, and this is not the solution. So my question is, my last question is this really a forum for giving input, or are we just giving a head nod to something that's already been decided? Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Wayne Boudreaux?
Kind of hard to follow that. My comment really isn't about pro traffic circle or against traffic circle. What I'm really worried about is what we're facing today. Every time I'm Wayne Boudreaux, 405 Petrol Trail, Greyhawk Landing. Every time I turn left into Greyhawk Landing to go home, I'm faced with 15 well, not 15, but usually 3 or 4 SUVs staring me in the face, turning left on the Pope Road right in front of me. And because the intersection directly west of us and directly east of us both have an offset left turn lane, and ours does not, you cannot see oncoming traffic. It would be, I don't know how much it costs to put an offset left turn lane on both sides, eastbound and westbound, but all of a sudden you would be able to see those cars coming at you, and you wouldn't have to take your life into your own hands and turn into your neighborhood. During the 3 or 4 years until whatever solution is decided upon, it would seem logical to spend a few dollars to make it safe to actually turn into our neighborhoods. That's my comment.
Thank you. Elizabeth Stump. Stump? I dropped my paper, so I got flustered.
I don't think I need a microphone. My concern is, I'm from the state of New Jersey formerly, and in the state of New Jersey, they did away with all traffic circles because nobody knows how to drive in traffic circles. The one thing that I know is I go to my doctor at Bee Ridge and Tuttle, for example, and that roundabout, when you get over to the other side, I'm coming out here, I'm in the roundabout, Tuttle has the right of way. So people do not know how to drive in a circle. They don't know how to do that. And I don't understand how this is going to help anything. I'm going to get an orange juice stand when the trucks are barreling down. And how wide and long do we have to go around? Is there enough? It's different on a side street, a roundabout, like Honor or Honor, whatever it is, yeah, that they have. But that doesn't solve the problem either. So you're going to have a large amount of traffic just sitting dead, trying to get in, and everybody's going to be playing chicken to try to get into there. And I'm not saying that there aren't bad drivers, because there's an awful lot of bad drivers down here in Florida. And I say is that I think a blinker is extra money. I don't know. I'm just amazed how people, just drive all over the place. But this is not the answer. And this is very expensive. Our taxes are going to start going up, which they are now. And all of these developments coming in, your school taxes are going to start. So $3 million? No, a traffic light. It'll help everything. And the traffic light also at Rye. You have them timed together, so you will be able to, because right now, when people want to make a left turn, they're coming out on 117. 117th Street to make a left-hand turn. And again, just like the gentleman said and everybody else said, is there's another development coming. So what's going to happen? We're going to have roundabout, 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 and it's not going to solve the problem. And those orange trucks are not going to stop. They're just going to keep going. You're in my way. Goodbye. I got a deadline to meet. So I just hope that you reconsider and that this is an information gathering session, and these comments are really going to make a difference into what the FDOT or whatever you are decides that they're going to do. Because I want to live here. I want to live and be safe and be able to go out to a store and not have the shakes when you come out or go back home. Because also, if you understand that 64 back up toward Mill Creek, it's on a curve. So that's why also you cannot see the cars that are coming from the east and going west. I mean, it's just a mess. So whoever designed this thing, I don't know what they were looking at, but they definitely were not taking our lives in consideration. I thank you, and I hope you will listen.
Thank you. Ollie, Kyle?
I'm Ollie Kite, 12014 Astor Avenue in Greyhawk. I'm one of the CDD representatives, or part of the supervisor there. When I got elected to the board in 2010, one of the first things I did was to send a letter to DOT requesting information and petitioning them to put a traffic light out at Greyhawk Landing Boulevard and State Road 64. I got a form letter, literally a form letter back from Mr. Donald Cash Dollar. I don't know if he's still there or not. And basically said, we don't meet the guidelines. Since that time, you've seen the amount of accidents since they started statistics. We had one resident that was killed. My question is, why does the DOT take a reactionary approach to this instead of a proactionary approach? As an example, it's been brought up about 117th Street. The only thing they've done by making the turns there on 64, they kick the can down the road. Because people in Greyhawk now go out the back entrance or the side entrance, which is the west entrance, go up to 117th Street, then go across and turn. And so it's just a matter of time before the accidents begin to pile up there. Also, there's two other developments on 117th Street. One of them will exit out on Upper Manatee, so that's going to cause a confusion there. And the other one is everything dumps out on 117th Street that goes up to 60 or Upper Manatee Road. So I think that these forms are nice. I also question that what happened to the amount of money that the developer gave that ended up with the county that went into the general fund for a traffic light there on State Road 64 way back when, because Greyhawk originally started in 2000. Be nice to know where all that money went, because that could have possibly paid for a traffic signal or part of it and saved at least one life possibly. And so my question to DOT, how much is a life worth?
Thank you. Dave Cherry?
Evening. I'm Dave Cherry. I live at 616 Dogwood Run. I'd just like to throw an observation and 2 points out here. First of all, about 3 years ago, I guess it was, we had an informational gathering meeting over in Greyhawk, and that's how it was billed anyway. And what it turned into be was actual presentation of a fait accompli, which is kind of what you're looking at here right now. I'm afraid that from what I see here, this is turning into exactly the same thing. The decision's already been made. And that bothers me because there's not really community input at that stage of the game. We're trying to sell a decision. Okay. A couple of points here. First of all, the bidirectional median that we've got out there right now is supposed to be a resolution of a bunch of different conflict points that we have out there. Not all those conflict points are equal. You know, the 36 down to 9, they didn't eliminate the two biggest ones, which are left turns into oncoming traffic. And as was pointed out earlier by Ollie and a bunch of other folks, you can't see. That doesn't change with what we've got out here. And it made it a little uglier, but it doesn't make it work. All right, so that doesn't reduce the risk at all. And if the issue here is really safety, we're not addressing safety with that either. We're filling a square. Okay? Second thing, and this is a bigger issue. From what I'm seeing here right now, from the plans that we're talking about, 1, 2, 3 traffic circles in, and what are we going to do with 117? Is that going to be a fourth? We are recharacterizing what used to be a major thoroughfare east-west in the state down into basically a residential area. Now I was told, well, geez, the speed limit's going to be 35 instead of 30, which is a residential area. Trust me on this one, no difference whatsoever. So I think basically we're going to screw up a lot of different traffic patterns in addition to supposedly all the construction we're going to have to endure. And we're going to get to sit here and wait for another 5 years for this solution. Are we going to have 5 years of having to dodge traffic cones out in the middle of the street at great risk to all of us? Questions to think about. Thanks.
Thank you. David Dean.
Good evening. My name is David Dean. I live at 23800 State Road 64 East out on Lake Manatee. I've been commuting past your development since before it was there. And we consider the area from Lorraine Road through Greyhawk Landing to be a gauntlet to run that S-curve through there with you people desperate to jump out into the road and then run into each other and run into us. I support these proposed interim measure modifications. I've already seen that it's made it safer to go by you with the two of you not coming out at the same time. The Pope Road issue should be alleviated when White Eagle Boulevard gets connected to the circle at Rye Road. Right now, that Pope Road is being used as a construction entrance for everyone going in to the Lakewood Ranch developments on that side. So once that White Eagle Road, which is only 100 yards to go to complete it, that construction traffic is going to get away from you. You're going to be better off. We're all going to be better off. And that's really what this meeting is about, is these interim measures. So I support the interim measures until such time as a roundabout and or light is put in. I'm not really thrilled about any of them, and I also feel that if there's going to be a light, that the light should be the first intersection from people coming from the east, so that you slow the traffic there, slow and or stop it. Then it's not going to get back up to 60 or 70 before they get to the next two traffic circles. It makes sense. Like I said, I've been going 22 years. I've been traveling through there. I know what the orange trucks are, the dump trucks full of dirt. They're short-term haulers. They get paid by the trip, not the hour. And most of them drive crap. So, and there's no inspection in Florida. So, we've all got our hands in our lives in our hands. Yeah. So that's all I got to say. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you. John Roche.
John Roush, 622 Honeyflower Loop in Greyhawk. Most of what I was going to say has been said before. Concerns are now the problem's been moved to 117th Street, and making that much more dangerous. On top of that, as you know, more development's going to be coming into that same intersection. You're going to have a problem. Making the left turns off of 64 onto the two side roads, the line of sight, I think Dave said it perfectly, it's really difficult. We need to do something to make that safer. You've done a good job at eliminating the turns that caused most of those accidents we've been seeing, but it's not really a permanent solution, and leaving this solution in place for 5 years isn't a solution. Needs to have something better done in the interim. I'm not completely convinced that a roundabout is a great solution. I came from the DC area. We have lots of circles. I know how to drive a circle, but I don't know that that's necessarily the best place for it. For us to come out and be able to make any kind of a turn to the east, we're going to be crossing a lane of roundabout traffic that's moving continuously, and we have no brakes in the traffic because the roundabout that's going to be down at Rye Road is going to improve traffic flow. So whereas a traffic light would give you a break in the traffic that would give us a chance to be able to move out. Same for many of the other developments that are coming in. So that's...
Thank you. Mark Bush?
Mark Bush, 12383 Lavender Loop, Greyhawk Landing. Most everything has been said that I wanted to say, but the only question that I have is once the roundabout is built, if it is going to be built, there's a lot of maintenance costs with that as well. Is there going to be landscaping in the middle of it? Are the curbs going to be power washed during the rainy season as they are in our plan? I mean, there's maintenance along with the $3.9 million that I'd want to know what's happening to that as well. So that's really all I have left.
Thank you. Walter? I don't want to butcher it.
Stop me when I run out of time. My name is Walter Wolzak, Greyhawk Landing, 510 Chantilly Trail. I figured I might as well start with the solution right away before anything else. The Greyhawk Landing main entrance and Pope Road should have a smart traffic light to allow for traffic to go north-south and to make left turns from either Greyhawk Boulevard or Pope Road. A smart traffic light would be the type that would allow all east-west traffic to have a continuous green light, except when sensors pick up a vehicle in the north-south or left turn lanes coming out of Greyhawk or Pope Road. Right-turning vehicles would not need to impact the traffic signal, with the possible exception of handling for school buses or something. Alternatively, add a U-turn just west of Greyhawk Landing. From what I can Google, the average cost of a traffic light is $100,000 compared to, according to the federal government, $250,000 for a roundabout. How we get to $3.6 million? Engineering costs. The Federal Highway Administration Handbook on roundabouts, about 250 pages, is highly cautious about creating a roundabout where east-west traffic is heavy, high speed, while the other roundabout entries are slow speed. This east-west traffic would be expected to ignore the yield signs for the roundabout, bullying their way through in a continuous stream. Traffic would need to slow to 30 miles an hour on a 200-foot diameter roundabout. That means adding like 100 feet into our complex to make that circle. With a two-lane traffic probably causing side swipe accidents at a minimum. The biggest problem with this concept is the assumption that the semis and heavy trucks going 60 miles an hour will come to a complete stop to yield to cars circling the roundabout. Anybody believe that's going to happen? The Federal Highway Administration Handbook stated that bicycle and pedestrian deaths are much higher with roundabouts than traffic lights, which is something they don't want to tell you about. A United Kingdom study cited by The Guardian states on large urban roundabouts, cyclists have an injury rate of 10 to 15 times that of motorists. I went by the FDOT office this afternoon and I saw you got a 100-page handout that I didn't see anywhere here on this whole proposal. Some of the notable points in that is the study was done over 2 years ago before the Pope Road White Eagle connection opened up. White Eagle is a 4-lane north-south road through Lakewood Ranch, passing Esplanade, Arbor Grand, and Serenity Creek, and turns into Pope Road at the north end. Google Traffic recommends White Eagle, Pope Road, or Lorraine as the preferred north-south route at almost all times of day, instead of Lakewood Ranch Boulevard or I-75. Page 13 on that study says the qualitative assessment observed 4 to 5 p.m. traffic, even though in the earlier page it says that the highest traffic was from 4 to 6 p.m. Why did they only look at 4 to 5 p.m.? And on a prior page, it listed 24 hours of traffic, but doesn't say what year or what date that was reported on. Was it 2015, 2016? There's no mention of that. Not a very good engineering study when you don't put things like that in. The traffic light option was shut down simply because there were a few accidents up to 2015. And you just saw on the screen that 2016 had 11, 2017 had 17. Those numbers would have qualified for a traffic light. So they need to restart this whole thing. That's the only reason that it was shot down if you get down to brass tacks. So the total roundabout cost is expected to be over $3.6 million according to that engineering study. And they have a page called Benefit Cost Analysis. On that page, they have marked down that we will save $10 million by going this route. That $10 million benefit comes from the number of deaths that they expect over a 20-year period. I think it's a 20-year period. They don't give you what that prediction is compared to. Is it compared to nothing? Is it compared to traffic lights? It's basically a made-up number, but it's a benefit. So overall, the traffic light is cheaper. You don't have to disrupt utilities. You don't have to tear up all the utilities around that whole area. And there are maintenance issues with both of them. And you can make up any kind of numbers you want for how many deaths you think might happen. But they're looking at a study from 2-3 years back when they didn't have the Pope Road traffic from Lakewood Ranch, and here we are.
Thank you. Randy Kraft.
I'm Randy Kraft. I live at 338 Chantilly Trail in Greyhawk. And it's very hard to repeat the eloquent things that have already been said. So I'm not going to. But there are a number of significant numbers that strike me immediately. I came here with the concept that a roundabout would be a darn good idea. Except there are some numbers that fly in the face of that. 5 years, which is insane. $3.6 million, which is more insane. A traffic light, as has been pointed out, is cheaper, can be done more immediately, and will solve problems at various intersections that are becoming more and more difficult as residences increase. Now there's another number, 55 miles an hour versus 35 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour. Why isn't a change in the speed limit being considered from the area from Lorraine Road all the way through Upper Manatee River Road? It's become, this whole area has become essentially residential. So one of the things that should be talked about, regardless of the solution to our entrance, is speed limit. And we don't hear that from anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay Rushmore.
Hi, good evening. Lindsay Rushmore, 617 Honeyflower Loop. I've done a lot of homework with regards to our intersection, and I understand that everyone's concerned about the state level. What we need to understand is this started at a county level. None of you paid impact fees on any of the roads in our neighborhood. I've lived in Florida my entire life. I've owned many homes. Not a single home that I've ever bought did I not pay an impact fee on my neighborhood. Somewhere along the way, those fell off in our county. Our commissioner has refused to answer my questions about this, whereas if we would hold the builders responsible for what's happening in our neighborhoods, rather than holding the state level responsible for what's happening in our neighborhoods, we wouldn't be in this position. We are building homes faster than we can keep up with our schools, our bus drivers, our roads, and our commerce. The roads where I come from come before the homes. Here, we allowed these builders to come in and build everything they could. Now we're trying to play catch up. There's not enough money to play catch up because we didn't pay into it. I have no problem with I'm not a traffic engineer, but I do have a career in public safety. I trust the men and women at the DOT to come up with the studies and to follow through with what they say they're gonna do, but I don't trust our county. They allowed our developer to walk away from signalization of Greyhawk Landing Boulevard and State Road 64. He had until November of 2018 to signalize that intersection if we qualified for it, but the county let him walk away from it 4 years early, paying $10,000 for the impact of 1,200 homes on a state road. Does anyone else have a problem with that? Does anyone else have a problem with the developments all up and down State Road 64 that not one single development is being held responsible for any impact on State Road 64? Not a single one. That's a big problem. Meanwhile, we're having 17 accidents a year, countless amounts of money in damages and lost revenue for people who can't work, God forbid lose their lives, because developers are allowed to come in and do whatever they want according to our county commissioners. Our building department doesn't hold them responsible, nothing. I do have one question to the DOT, being a mother in Greyhawk Landing. I would like to know, at some point, there's not a single crosswalk until you touch Lakewood Ranch Boulevard. Will our children ever be able to access the county parks we pay for? Will they be able to ride their bikes across State Road 64 with these roundabouts? The answer is no. Will I ever be able to ride my bike across the street with my children? The answer is no, because they're going to get hit. We have a large cycling community that like to share 64. These roundabouts will not make the family life that is sold to us possible at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Lundholm?
In any event, I commiserate with you in Greyhawk Landing, but feel for me, because I live right off of Rye Road. If you've ever had the misfortune of trying to get on the 64 from Rye, it is nerve-wracking. Over a year ago, I contacted FDOT, expressing my concern because we too are being put upon regarding a roundabout. Over a year and a half ago, I attended several meetings here, and they were informational, but it was obvious it was a given. The given fact is the roundabout at that time was going to be completed by the end of this year. Previously, I had visited with neighbors, with Commissioner Bannock, and she was very gracious, and we talked, and she devoted over an hour of conversing, and she was quite concerned because the state loves roundabouts. However, she didn't think SMR would give up the real estate. Ironically, they don't have to give up any real estate. I was trying to get the dimensions of a modern roundabout. I wasn't sure what modern meant. Wasn't it going to be more round? In any event, I assumed it was going to be large enough to accommodate traffic going at the speed of 55 miles an hour, 4 lanes. If you look at this document, the imprint is identical to the current space. They don't increase the diameter, the circumference. They don't enable you to phase into the circle with any kind of safety. But my real concern tonight regards, as others had pointed out, the here and now. At the intersection, cars cannot make a left going east or west on 64, feeling safe. I've tried it any number of times, and I'm nervous. Last night, I was coming off of Pope, phasing into 64 going east, And I was nervous there because I could see the cars in the median who were very tentative and they wanted to get across, but they couldn't see because of the obstruction. Ironically, the obstruction is a direct result of things being done on the cheap. I was chastised when I spoke to a commissioner over a year ago, a director of FDOT. Don't worry, we don't do things on the cheap. If you look at these medians, they are cheap. They're not wide enough for you to feel comfortable. They're not wide enough, as it has been pointed out by several people tonight, to see around the oncoming lane that also wants to make a left turn. The configuration currently is somewhat of an improvement, but I say what they should do is snug it a little further into the median. Move that S-curve so that the cars have to get into the median as opposed to out. You know, it's customary, if you're going to make a turn, you swing wide. And that's the problem. These cars swing wide and you can't see around them. I think they could snug that up a bit and make the immediate problem a little less risky. I believe there was an accident there within the last 2 weeks. And I believe it happened because somebody was trying to make a left onto Pope, and you could see where the cars ended up. They ended up where I was last night, wanting to make a right to go east on 64. So I do hope some immediate action can be done. But here again, don't worry, as far as a circle coming your way, 5 years, it'll never happen. Once they get the circle at Rye Road. Now, ironically, we had begged for a light. Oh, it costs. They're putting up a temporary light now. Over 2 years, they've got the stanchions up. But again, if you see the booming traffic on Rye Road, it goes almost up to the school, about 1.5 miles. So I'm going to suggest they all cut through Mill Creek into Greyhawk Landing and down. Because that's what's going to happen. A light, and you realize that these smart lights cost more. This is temporary, so it's probably going to be done on the cheap, though FDOT doesn't do anything on the cheap. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you. Tom Conway.
My name's Tom Conway, 13123 Bliss Loop in Serenity Creek, and thank you for the couple of people from State Road 64, so I'm not the only person not from Greyhawk Landing here. A couple of comments here. Yes, I'm the only one from my development because we were all talking about this meeting ahead of time. And as some other people said, this deal is already signed, sealed, delivered. Everybody feels like it's grumbling. Quite honestly, I feel like we have this reason to feel like this because the same thing happened at the FDOT meeting at the other church on the other side of State I-75 when that interstate interchange was being redesigned. We showed up, everybody was like, this is what we're doing, and construction started shortly thereafter. The other reason is we got a notice in the mail saying, oh, by the way, next week we're cutting off your access to State Road 64 from the south, essentially. And we get something in the mail, literally less than a week later, the stanchions go up, we can't turn left onto 64. Having said that, it doesn't take but 2 seconds to Google, and you can see that all the residents from Greyhawk Landing have been demanding over 10 years a traffic light be put in there. So 10 years of what can we do, the Greyhawk community trying to work with the state and the county to get a traffic light there, and nope, we're just going to do this instead a week later. So you are right. There is a lot less accidents at the Pope Road 64 intersection since that's gone in. The reason for that is immediately after those went in, as people from Greyhawk were saying that traffic started diverting down to 114 or 117, whichever it is. Us that are coming from the south to get to 64, we started taking the right, going down, trying to make a U-turn there at Mill Creek. I did that for 4 days. Having to make a U-turn, couldn't do it without almost getting hit every single time. So the reason why there's less accidents there is there's less traffic there, because I now go 5 miles out of my way to get to State Road 64 going west. By the time I go all the way down to 44th Avenue and back up Lakewood Ranch. It's really inconvenient. I guess I could deal with it, but really, I hope that when the White Eagle, Bry Road roundabout is started, hopefully finished very quickly, that will alleviate so much traffic there, because somebody else said it. Google Maps, everybody goes through. As soon as White Eagle opened, I loved it because I could get down to State Road 70, but everybody else in Bradenton and Sarasota and everywhere else in the world started coming up that road too. It's actually become a lot of traffic for our community, but that's what it is. Hey. But so anyways, everybody goes through there, cuts down this little 2-lane road that's so narrow, everything, it's not safe as it is. The traffic volumes there skyrocketed, and that's where, you know, I know that everybody's had a problem at this intersection for a long time. That's why everything starts skyrocketing really quickly in the last year. What should happen? There's one house there. I obviously can't speak for that person. I'm assuming because he's, you know, surrounded by open land that's are going to be commercial very soon. He's holding out to sell. But honestly, once that roundabout gets completed at White Eagle and Rye Road, gosh, please, with the county commissioners, vacate the easement there at Pope Road between 64 and White Eagle. Just vacate that, close that street down. There'll be no reason for that. Any commercial there could go right in, right out, go straight down. If they need to go back west, they could go into the roundabout, since they work so well, and make the U-turn coming back. And again, you've alleviated your point of conflict there. There's something else I had to say. I've forgotten what it is, but really, I think slowing down the traffic is a big deal, because it's been 60 through that section. We got it shut down to 50 miles an hour. But let's be honest, when it was 60, we all did 75. And it's still going that way, so hopefully the roundabouts will slow that down farther east, but I'm not sure on that either. So slowing down the speed limit is going to be really a big help there, as other people have said. I think that roundabout's going to help slow it down at Rye, but you know, I don't think that creating another roundabout right here is the answer by any means. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who did not fill out a card that would like to make a statement? Okay.
I don't have a statement to make, but I do have pictures of the accident a week ago today. If you guys can say there have been any accidents that you've been aware of, but we have pictures of just a week ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mine was 1014 Clover Glen in Greyhawk.
And some people have mentioned that Greyhawk Landing's been using 117 so they can make a left onto 64. And if you look straight ahead from 117 across the street, this development is going in, and they're going to open it up to 64. I'm worried about making a left-hand turn when that opens up. And what are you going to do about it? Because it's going to be like moving Greyhawk Landing Boulevard down to 117.
Great. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to make a statement? Okay. As a reminder, if you'd like to make a statement after this, you can do so directly to the court reporter. You can fill out a comment card. We have some comment cards at the back, or you can email me directly at david.wheeler, at dot.state.fl.us. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, please.
Victoria, who I agree with 1,000%. She was one of the first people talking. The brown shirt, the blue shirt, I don't know their names. The people here are very intelligent, and they know what's going on. I learned a long time ago, if you can do something in 2 sentences, you write a book, right? You always make more things more complicated than it has to be. I'm from New Jersey, like that lady. That's very good, very good. We don't like you, we shoot you. You know, that's how it goes. But the point is that we could make this simple. And everybody, they've been asking, I haven't been there that long, for a light for 10 years? I mean, please. What would a light do? All right, if you put the roundabout up there further, right, it's going to slow things down a little bit, and then you have a light. And somebody said, well, you might need another light. Well, good. You coordinate all the lights, right? And things will flow. You want to reduce the speed limit? The light will help you reduce the speed limit. I mean, why are we making such a big deal? Why don't these people listen to anything? I mean, seriously. I mean, I didn't want to talk. I said I always talk. But the point of the matter is, I've been to some of these meetings before, not about this problem, but they talk and talk and talk and talk, and they do what they want. So what we need to do now, I mean, I don't know how you do it. There's a couple of people here that know how to form action groups and things like that, but we got to get somebody to listen over there. Are you the person that's going to tell them that we're all ticked off? Are you the person? You don't speak. He's mute. All right. We have to get these people to hear us. And everybody that talked today, wonderful job. All right? I am so happy there's so many people concerned. I wish we had 100 people here or 200 people. The point of the matter is, let's try to keep it simple. We want a light, or we don't want a light. All right? It doesn't seem like we seem to like the roundabout idea. So let's tell them that. All right? Yeah. All right. Make sure they hear it. Make sure they hear it. All right, my name's Ken, and I'm at 655 Rosemary Circle. I just made that up. No. 655 Rosemary Circle and Greyhawk Landing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Last call. No? Yes? Art? Come on up.
I'm Ira Kasdan, live at 12211 Astor Avenue in Greyhawk. My wife Victoria was very eloquent before. I'd just say it's 5 years before this roundabout goes in. We could do a traffic light and test it in the short term. It would only cost a few $100,000 from the numbers that people have said. The community's been asking for it. Maybe it would be worth a try, since we got 5 years, to go ahead and put the thing in, and it would at least get people to believe that FDOT was listening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Waiting for the hand to go up. No? Okay. And again, whoop, oh, sorry. Barta. Okay. And with that, as a reminder, again, you can still make comments directly to the court reporter. We have comment cards, or email me directly. And with that, I'm going to conclude the public hearing portion of this meeting. Thank you all for attending. I appreciate you taking the time. And the DOT staff will still be around to answer any additional questions you may have. Thank you.